Hey, there it is. Oh, thank you too. Thanks, Martha. Hey, those are some big jugs.
Oh, thanks, Dave. Yeah, I was at the gym. Oh man, working out my guns.
Ah.
Yeah, Smith and BB.
BB, obviously.
Yeah.
What's with the jugs?
You know, you got me. But I noticed all the chaps walking around the gym toting one of these, and I thought to myself, well, if they can tote one, naturally I should be walking around toting two.
Chaps?
Yeah.
What are you, British now?
Oh, hello, governor. Fish and chips.
Bangers and mash.
Do you always have to go dirty?
What? Well, you've obviously been working out really hard, or you're very dehydrated. That's a lot of water to drink, Steve.
You think I was supposed to put something in these?
You mean you've been walking around the gym with 2 empty jugs?
Well, yeah, they're a lot easier to carry that way.
Jeez. Hello and welcome to the Week in Review with the Chamber of Comedy. I'm Dave Hamray.
And I'm Steve Burnett.
This week's update brought to you by Maine Rep and My Pillowy toilet seat cushions. For the softest, most luxurious dump, try My Pillowy toilet seat cushions. You won't want to leave the can.
For the best on dump, you're gonna be pushing. Visit My Pillowy toilet seat cushion.
Steve, who likes the government telling them what to do?
Only when it comes to snacks, beverages, smoking, car emissions, healthcare options, education for my child, tree pruning, and a curfew for this anchor.
While many others demand neither federal nor state governments have any business in their business, including speech. Until now, and believe it or not, this one might be a welcome exception.
That's right, Dave. The newly formed Agency on Clichés and Figures of Speech, also known as ACFS, has released the very first list of phrases that will now bring with them a $500 fine for the first-time offender.
Phrases included on this list include, "This will only make us stronger."
The new normal.
At the end of the day,
With all due respect,
circle back.
we're all in this together.
And that's what she said.
That's funny stuff. I get it. We're all in this together. That's what she said. Oh, that's funny stuff, Captain Kirk.
Steve, it's on the list.
Oh.
ACFS officials reveal overuse of these phrases in particular have proven to leave emotional scars on those who have not left their home during this pandemic. Plans are to lift these bans, however, once the virus has passed.
Oh, you hate the scars. You know a phrase that I hope made it on that list? Don't hand me a milkshake when I ordered a blizzard.
It's not a catchphrase, Steve. It's just something that happened to you.
Well, it is my fevered hope that it never happens to anybody
I
else.
think you meant fervent.
Well, that's what you said.
You're a tool.
Oh, we're back on the list.
No. In other news, developers of amusement park rides are working on a new twist of an old classic.
This after years of little children suffering the early onset of vertigo from going round and round in circles as calliope music pierces their tiny, precious eardrums.
That's right, Steve. It's called the Merry-Go-Straight. And it's the same classic, colorful wooden horses you've grown up loving at the parks, only now they take their riders on a 5-mile musical jaunt straight through the entire park, with no turns.
You know, I can't understand why this hasn't been tried before.
There's a lot you don't understand, Steve.
It's true.
So far, the only challenge facing developers is devising a way to reunite family members on the other end that didn't hop on the merry-go-straight with those who did.
Maybe they build two, and when the kid gets off of the one, he comes over, gets on the other one, and rides back. That would double the park's ride revenue, assuming that the parent ever wants to see their kid again.
You're a genius.
Well, that's what many say.
I was being facetious, Steve.
They have ointments for that.
In other news, historians have found what appears to have been some sort of insert from the sandal worn by one of the Bible's most popular characters.
That's right. Noah's Arch, discovered under the foundational rubble of an abandoned lamb restaurant in Ponte Vedra, Florida. This soulful slip-in is believed to have once belonged to the man known for his very large boat, loaded with 2 of every animal created. This, of course, before the floods came.
And now this once doubted bearded servant of God is also famous for being the first person believed to have suffered from very flat feet.
That's some famous footwear, I'll tell you that. We, of course, wish him the very best of luck.
He's dead, Steve.
Well, that's bad luck all around. Those must have been some really flat feet.
In other news...
Yeah. Unicorns.
What?
Unicorns. You know, the horned horsies? Noah did not put any unicorns on his Yahweh yacht.
No, he didn't, Steve. You can still find them in the circus
Oh.
and the occasional merry-go-straight.
Some good news for a change.
There's a new musical headed for the way off Broadway stage, and it has a local connection.
Oh.
The Chamber of Comedy caught up with Harbor Millport's own Thrust Magnus, the creative genius behind Phantom of the Mill, a nightmare musical.
Yes, Thrust warns us to bring extra underpants. Not because it's all that scary, but because in addition to the title, Thrust's musical masterpiece is extremely long, with no intermission.
Right now we're clocking in at 4 hours and 20 minutes. That's with cutting 16 of the 43 songs in the show, but I fear an intermission would just break the dramatic tension. Here we have the leading female character of the show, Abigail, really quite the martyr in her own eyes, lost and passed out drunk in a pool of her own vomit. Or is it? In the lobby of this abandoned textile mill. Rats scurrying all around her, lots of rats in the mill, and then what? Boom, up come the lights so the audience can take a piss and buy some overpriced M&Ms? I don't think so. Not on my watch. The leading male character right now, we're calling him Skeeter Valjean, but that might change. He's a mild-mannered medical supply delivery man by day, with dreams of opening a hot dog-themed dinner theater. But he's held at knife point by a group of mill mobsters in rat costumes, and Skeeter's forced to sign a 3-year lease, despite the horrific case of termites overrunning the entire mill, along with the rats. Did I mention the rats? Skeeter's solo, 3-year lease. It'll be one of those instant hits covering multiple charts. A real tearjerker of a song. It will be recorded by every pop, country, bluegrass, and rap star out there. We've got 2 incredibly gifted performers signing on to play the leads, with Madge Shameford and Dom Jiggins reuniting. I believe the last musical the 2 starred together in was Hike Up That Kilt, Kevin. Those who were willing to sit through a couple of hours of rehearsal likened it to Phantom of the Opera meet A Nightmare on Elm Street. Well, I remember them saying something about it being a nightmare. That's how I came up with the title. Because I didn't have a title at first.
Wow. Get me a back row seat for that one, huh?
We of course wish him the very best of luck. And now, with a personal note, here's Steve.
Thanks, Dave. They say everyone has a movie inside of them. For some, it can be a painful movie, especially if you're like me and still use VHS cassettes.
Dear Diary, well, Steve's at it again. This week it's some diatribe about a movie or something. I don't know. I never really pay attention.
And the star to play me, I think, would be, well, quite obvious.
Who's that, Steve? Abe Vigoda? He's dead, numbnuts. I've counted how many times Steve refers to himself in these personal notes. His current record is 75, but I'm sure he'll break that soon.
For me personally, I would like to think this movie would be a comedy. I mean, I would hope.
There's 3 right there. Are people even paying attention to these? He's a nice enough fellow and all, but really, Steve, where do you get off thinking anyone really cares about your personal notes? If I had any say in it, we'd get rid of them altogether and replace this segment with something more useful for our fans, like just a white screen, or a recipe segment, or even horoscopes.
As many of you know, my astrological sign is Cancer.
They don't know that, nor does anyone give a rip, Steve. You're embarrassing yourself, man. The sooner you realize that, the better off we'll all be. Should have been a horseback rider like my single aunt wanted me to be.
Hey, Dave.
Oh, hey, Steve.
What you doing there, little buddy?
Just writing in my journal.
Your diary? Oh, man, that's girl stuff.
It's a journal, Steve.
Oh, let me see. Dear Diary. See, right there. You even admit it's a diary.
Okay, it's a diary, but lots of guys have
Oh,
diaries.
they do. Let me think. How many I know? 1.
How did your voice even get in my voiceover?
Magic beans, dum-dum. Hey, I gotta get back to my personal note.
You almost finished.
Well, I don't know. I stopped paying attention some time ago. I left off at something about a massage, I think. Oh, and by the way, it's an equestrian.
What?
The word for an expert horseback rider.
Sheesh, the guy even weasels his way into my journal entries and corrects me. Can't shake him. He's like a...
Infectious recurring pus-filled lesion.
He took the words right out of my...
Enormous colon.
Why am I using a feather pen? Who am I, Benjamin Jefferson? Ben Jefferson. Who's Ben Jefferson? Ugh, I'm starting to sound like my windbag of a co-anchor.
Saving the town and winning her heart by playing the bagpipes.
Well, it's got to be getting close to the end, so I best wrap this up. Thanks for listening, Diary. Lord knows Steve never does.
And that could serve as the climax of my movie, resulting in a very happy ending for everyone involved. Dave?
Wow. That, it's quite a mouthful, Steve.
I'm sorry, did you say something?
That's This Week in Review with the Chamber of Comedy. Thanks for joining us. I'm Dave Hanwright.
And I'm Steve Burnett. Remember, when news breaks out, so do we. Thank you.
And good night. Well, that went well.
Yeah. Hey, you know what today's date is, right?
It's the 10th, October 10th.
Right.
Why?
Well, do the numbers.
The numbers?
Yeah, you know, the numbers. Well, what's the number of the month in October? What is that?
10th,
Right. And what number is today?
10th,
And what is the year?
2020.
Okay. So, all those 20s line up, never, ever to happen again. Isn't that exciting? That's something.
No, Steve, every day is its own day, and it never happens again.
Well, add all those 20s together. 20 plus 20 plus 20. What do you have?
Your IQ.
Hey, when did you hire a drummer?
It's Ringo.